All right, welcome back to the Closing Room AZ. I'm your host, Jesse Moreno, realtor, investor, and coach, and your straight shooter for everything real estate related here in Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, if you're thinking about buying, selling a property, reach out to me, hit me up. You're in the right room for a lot of information. So they're here. There's zero fluff, zero fillers, just real talk, straight strategies from people that are actually in the trenches. So stick around, grab some good info. If you need to contact me directly, the best way to do it is hit the QR code that you see on the screen. That is my direct contact info. Connect with me and hit subscribe to my channel, like some videos, leave some comments, but definitely subscribe. That way you don't miss anything that comes up next on our recordings and stuff and my special guests that I bring in. So click on that QR code and let's get you going. Before we get back into it, again, one more time, my sponsor, quick shout out to my sponsor, Driggs Title. Driggs Title is here in Arizona and they're in Nevada. They've been closing deals since 2007. They got over 200,000 transactions closed since they started. So hopefully that speaks volumes to you guys, tell you how professional this company is. Give them a call. You always reach them at 602-796-2029. Ask for Ignacio Ochoa. He is the business development manager here at Driggs Title. He'll take care of your needs. He'll help you from contract to closing. So reach out to the guy. He'll take care of you. And when you do reach out to him, let him know that you heard about him here at Driggs, here at the Closing Room AZ. I was going to give him another shout out, right? All right, man. So we are going to dive into part 3 of Mortgage 101. Hopefully you guys have a chance to review or to watch podcast 1 and 2 on Mortgage 101 series. We've covered a lot of information. We covered the basics. We talked about loan types. We talked about pre-approvals, rates, closing costs. Now we're going to be talking about the most stressful part of the process for buyers, and that's going to be what happens after you're under contract. All right, so when you're in contract, what happens next? We're going to talk about the appraisal, the underwriting process, what could go wrong, how to make sure you get to the closing table without having some issues or having a heart attack, as I was going to say it. And today we have Mr. Ben Salcido from Barrett Financial Group. He is back for the final. Ben, let's close this out, man. Welcome back.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm super excited about this one. This is where all the fun stuff happens.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Is it really?
This is where all the fun stuff happens.
All right, Ben. Well, hey, let's start with something that scares lots of buyers, and that's the appraisal, right? I've seen deals die at the appraisal stage, and I've seen buyers and sellers break up, both freak out when they don't understand, what that means, right? So we're going to break it down to you guys, the listeners here. So what is an appraisal? Who orders it, and why? And why does the lender require it?
So an appraisal is a independent opinion of value.
Sure.
That's basically what it is. A licensed appraiser comes out, inspects the property, compares it to recent comparable sales and things of that sort to determine what the home is actually worth on the open market. The appraisal is anywhere typically between $500 to $800, I want to say, nowadays in Arizona, really depending on the property, things of that sort, size of the property,
sure.
Things like that. The reason that it's required is obviously we want to ensure that we're lending the correct amount on the home, right? Just because somebody thinks that their home is worth $400,000 doesn't necessarily mean that that is what it's worth. So we want to ensure that we're lending the correct amount because obviously we can only lend up to what the home is worth.
Right.
Typically, your lender is going to go ahead and order your appraisal. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
And you guys take care of it. The customer, the buyer can't order it.
Correct. Yes.
So it's only
completely independent.
Completely independent.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Right. And full disclaimer, you guys, as far as the appraisal fee, between $500 and $800, something like that, depends on the square footage of your home. I mean, if your home is worth, not worth, but it's I don't know,
3,000 square feet.
3,000 square feet. It could run somewhere in that price range. If you got a custom home where it's closer to the 7,000 to 10,000 square feet, it's going to change. Everything varies depending on the lots, the square footage of the property. Just an FYI on that. You want to throw that out there because I'll tell you what, appraisals are out there. They're about $500. They're between $800 plus. I've seen them all the time. But when I got those bigger homes and working on those bigger properties, they seem to be a little bit more expensive. Mm-hmm. So just kind of throw that out there.
Commonly, just heads up. Commonly, right now, I'm seeing about 650 is commonly what I'm seeing.
650.
Yes, sir.
All right. So cool. So hey, what happens? What happens when a home is appraised and it's below the purchase price?
Well, obviously that creates a little bit of a gap. All right. So, again, the lender can only appraise against, or I'm sorry, the lender can only lend against the appraised value.
Sure.
Okay. So if the purchase price is 400,000 and the appraisal comes in at 385, there's a $15,000 gap at that point. At that point, we have a few different options, but I feel like this is where we kind of get down into the nitty gritty of did we choose the correct real estate agent or not? Because I feel like this at this point gives us a lot of wiggle room for negotiation,
Sure.
right? Say that there is that $15,000 gap. There's a possibility you can make it up in a cash difference if that's something that you really want to do, and if that's the home that you want, and they're unwilling to move on that price, then hey, we have to go ahead and come up with that $15,000. If not, that leaves us a lot of room for negotiation. That means the buyer is typically going to go ahead and get a way better deal.
It's a plus for them.
Yeah, it's a way better deal,
Jeez.
for them, because if we obviously with that appraisal really depending on whether that's FHA or conventional. If it's FHA, it's going to stick around for 6 months. So that means that home is 385. So
Right.
either they need to take that off the market or they need to reduce the value of the home to get that home sold. Or they need to have somebody that's going to come in and pay that additional gap if that's what they're really looking to get.
Right.
So that at that point, I mean, it's either we're walking away or we're coming to a negotiation. We're either splitting the costs, we're bringing the cost down to the 385 where the home's valued at, and we're renegotiating what seller concessions possibly look like. So, I mean, there's a ton of different plays that you can do when that happens.
Gotcha. For sure. Yeah. And there's, like you said, there's some negotiation room there when the property comes in a little bit below market value or the appraised value, right? You offer $500,000 for a home and it comes appraised at 450. Now we got $50,000 difference. So how do we get to that medium to make it work? And so that's where working with the right lenders, working with the right realtors, that's where the negotiation piece comes in to help us get us to that price where we need to make it happen. And if it doesn't happen, then sometimes the deal falls apart for that reason. But it doesn't mean because the appraised value it's less than what you purchase it for means that it's going to fall apart, right? There's always room here. So just a word of caution, don't give up. Work with the right people. Work with someone like myself. Hopefully I can help you if that ever happens. But working with the right realtor as well, as Ben mentioned, when you work with the right realtor as well, I got to tell you, and a quick plug in here is realtors, if they know what they're doing, they're going to find out and double check, make sure that property value is pretty close to where it needs to be before even the appraisal gets ordered. So we're not experts on the appraised value, but we definitely do our research and we can figure out exactly what's closing in the area, comparable to the home, based on square footage, room count, lot size, year built, and everything else that it takes into it to figure out that value of that property. So working with the right folks, you shouldn't have that issue, at least in my opinion. And from my prior experience, I would tell you, you wouldn't have that problem. But anyhow, that is, to your point, Ben, man, that is exactly what you could do. It's just, negotiate it out, figure out the best way to make it happen so that there's a medium between the gap of that difference of that property value. All right, let's talk about what can buyers and sellers do to prepare for a smooth appraisal. So now we're going to order the appraisal. What can we do to make it nice and smooth?
Sure. I mean, I think for sellers, obviously making sure that your home is clean, accessible. There's no obvious maintenance issues that you need to address. Ensuring that you kept your home up is a huge thing, right? Throughout the time that you've lived in your home. Broken windows, missing handrails, HVAC issues obviously can affect that, right? Depending on, if you keep records of when you have your HVAC serviced or what have you, your air conditioning serviced, I think those are huge things. A lot of things that people don't necessarily take into consideration, but any major repairs, I would always say, hey, make sure you keep your receipts so you know how you have documentation of when everything has been updated, and just have, anything you can do to improve the aesthetic, I guess you can say as well,
Right.
Anytime that you're looking at upgrades for, putting a pool in or even, cabinetry, things of that sort, it's always great for sellers. When it comes to buyers, I mean, just understanding that it is an independent appraisal, that is, I think, the biggest thing for a buyer. You have to understand that, your agent should have done some some work prior to, right? And I think, obviously with someone like yourself, Jesse, being in the business for so long, that's something that you're quite familiar with, right? Just being able to pull up comps in the area, making sure that, it's not overlisted or that it does have a competitive edge in the market is going to
Sure.
be highly beneficial. But obviously, appraisal is always a risk. We never know what the appraiser is going to see or what they determine what that house is. I mean, but it shouldn't be too far off from the comps.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if you're the seller, and this goes for my colleagues, the realtors as well. If you got a seller and they've done improvements to the house, write it down and let the appraiser know the improvements that you've done, because they're not going to know if you don't tell them. Let them know, hey, we just added the new roof, the new HVAC system went in. Whatever improvements you've done, let them know. That's going to help out a little bit with your value and assist, right? So don't just wing it and hope that the appraiser figures all that out on their own. So give them a little bit of help if you have that information, and that'll give you a better fighting chance to get the appraised value that you're looking for when you get there. So definitely that's where we need to, what you need to do. Okay, so a buyer, we're going to dive into where now the buyer's under contract, right? The appraisal comes in, it's fine. Now the file goes to underwriting, and then I hear buyers all the time say, well, we're in underwriting now, right? So it's kind of like we're in that box, let's make this thing happen. But what really happens now that it's in underwriting?
So that's a great question. Underwriting is where the lender assess risk of the loan.
Okay.
They review your current loan application, and they make final decisions on whether to approve the loan or not based on the information that your lender has submitted, verifying all the information that we had talked about previously: income, verification of employment, down payment, all that good stuff. And then obviously taking that into consideration, you're looking at your credit worthiness, your income, your employment stability, assets, where it's coming from, and obviously the property itself, right? Ensuring that, again, as we go back to that appraisal, ensuring that that property is within the value of what we are currently lending. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at there. Based on the appraisal, any gaps, any inconsistencies, any red flags or anything of that sort, we'll come up with conditional lists, meaning that, hey, if the underwriter can verify something, right, they're going to put a condition. Hey, we need to see, let's just say 401k statements to see where that money
Sure.
come from, right? Let's just say that, you transferred money, sold stock, something of that sort to come up with your down payment. We're going to need an additional condition here to go ahead and get that information. It's normal in a transaction, obviously, even in a clean file, to go ahead and have any type of conditions added. Typically, it takes about 3 to 5 days to clear conditions. Sometimes it could take up to 10 to 14 days, really depending on what the condition is. But clear communication with your lender is super important.
Absolutely.
Just knowing timelines is super important as well, and ensuring that you're, as the buyer, are getting in things in a timely manner, because obviously we can only, as a lender, work as fast as our buyers work. So it's being in constant communication, ensuring that we consistently, if we ask for something, please feel free to get that in as soon as possible.
Right. Yeah, good point, man. And you brought up some things here too that I think it's because it's going to kind of fall with my next question is, what are the most common underwriting conditions? What are the most common underwriting conditions that slow down a deal? And you mentioned a little bit about not having the proper documentation, or not giving them what they're asking for if it's pre-written, once it's underwritten, stuff like that. But what have you seen, man, that slowed down the deal?
I think that's pretty much it. Is just missing documentation is the biggest thing. Buyers who are not organized, who don't have their paperwork in order. Underwriter asks for a letter of explanation for large deposits. Divorce decrees are huge. If you recently were divorced or something of that sort, and maybe we excluded debt or something of that sort, we don't have a divorce decree to go through and say, hey, improve this, that we're not liable for this debt, and it is on the decree, so on and so forth, could hold up a deal. Proof of additional income. I think a lot of people get mistaken as well when someone works full-time and then have a part-time job, and they think that they could utilize that income, things like that. And employment verification from time to time can be a big one as well. If your employer doesn't respond in a timely manner,
Right.
HR can be a hassle to deal with from time to time, so that's another big thing. title issues, right? If we come, the title does their search and there's old liens that no one knew about or something of that sort, some type of judgment,
Yeah.
ownership
Nightmare.
disputes. Yeah, those can definitely hold up a deal for sure.
All right. Now for sure. All right. Now we pass up the underwriting. We're ready to go to something called CTC. What does CTC stand for?
Oh, those are my favorite acronyms right there.
Right
We're
there.
clear to close.
We're clear to close. Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens when we're clear to close, man? Walk us through that process.
Oh man, that is that is a good process. We're clear to close. It means that this is a moment everyone's kind of been waiting for. You know, we got the green light to fund everything. Checks get out, wires get sent out, funding gets approved. At that point, I mean, everyone takes a big deep breath, sigh of relief. You know, final documents are signed. You got a 3-day waiting period to receive your keys, and we're good to go, man.
So CTC is where you want to be at the end.
That's where we want to be at the end.
All right. I just so my listeners know this. I mean, once you're clear to close, you're going to be getting yourself a disclosure that's called closing disclosure.
Yes, sir.
And, once you get that bad boy in your hands and you sign it, then it's just a matter of days you'll be getting your keys into your home. By that time, everything's pretty much clear, right? I mean, underwriting has checked all the boxes and we are done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Clear to close.
Can we go buy a car then?
Yeah, we can go buy a car.
Yeah, we
then.
can?
Yeah, we can do
All
that.
right.
If that's what you want to do, we can definitely go do that. I'll go with you. We'll buy the car together.
All right, man. Look at you. That's crazy. All right, yeah. Hey, there you go. You heard it from Ben himself, man. So once you got your CTC clear to close, that means you are ready to move forward and get your keys and get into your home. And that is the exciting part about working with the lenders and working with realtors, especially as a first-time home buyer. And I'll tell you what, I'm hoping that as you stuck around for these 3-part series, that you got a lot of information that you're able to take in and get educated on the Mortgage 101. I know it was a lot of high level, and we touched on certain things. We didn't touch on everything that's part of the process because it is overwhelming, but that's Ben's job anyways. Let him get in the mix of all that and go crazy and get the white hairs that we get in this business. But your job as the buyer, as the seller, is to let the people that you're paying that service for is handle that for you. So you kind of sit back and relax and enjoy the process that we take care of as experts and professionals in this industry. So I think I have one more question, man, but I'm going to wrap it up here for all of us because for the most part, it was just some final advice, but I want to let you kind of give you the floor here. Is there anything, any final advice, things that you want to give out to our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, my final advice would be call a lender before anything else, even before getting into your head that it's something that you can't do is purchase, give your lender a call. Let them make that decision. Don't make that decision on your own. Don't get too deep into rates. I mean, everyone's rate's going to be different. Don't say, hey, rates are at 7% because that's what the media is saying. I mean, I just closed somebody at a 6.125. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a big difference from a 7%. Sure. Keep your credit score in order. Ensure that you got your down payment loan your down payment assistance programs in order, things of that sort, or your down payment that you're going to be putting down in order. Make sure that you have documentation, things of that sort you've been saving up. Things of that sort are probably going to be the most beneficial things to kind of keep in mind. Communicate with people who've actually, done work with your lender or your real estate agent before. I think that's huge, just kind of reaching out, reading reviews, ensuring that who you're working with is a professional and that they have closed on time is highly beneficial. Ensuring that someone's been in the business for a while and they know exactly what they're doing. Take a look at how many transactions they've closed.
Yeah, for sure.
And take a look at how many transactions they closed on time.
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
to go a step further, So I think the biggest thing is just kind of sitting down and doing a little bit of research prior to, but just giving a lender a call.
Okay.
Let them do their job.
Yeah. Well, good info, man. Thank you for that direction, that advice. Speaks volumes. It speaks volumes about your expertise in this field, and truly appreciate you sharing that with all of us on this podcast. And I took away when you mentioned, and I want to close with this part for myself, as you mentioned, don't get caught up with the interest rates, right? I think that's the biggest thing is what's the rate today? What's the rate, the rate, the rate? I hear that all the time. Man. I'll tell you what, there's a saying in our business, and I'm sure you probably heard it. It says, date the rate, but marry the home, right? In other words, when you marry the home is for long term. It's going to grow well. It's going to grow equity and value, and it's going to, it's a valuable asset. But the rate, you're dating it because you could always refinance it. You could always get out of it somehow, right? Whether you refinance it or something, right? There's other ways of doing it, but don't get caught up with the interest rate, right?
Well, again, I think it has to go back to the same thing I've said previously before in the previous podcast as well. As I mean, if you're paying rent, you're paying 100% interest at that point, right? None of that money is building you any type of wealth. Any money that you're depositing into somebody else's account is building their wealth. So why build somebody else's wealth when you can build your own?
Yep, absolutely, for sure. All right. Well, I appreciate that. This is going to be a wrap on Mortgage 101 series, but here at the Closing Room AZ, so I truly appreciate all the information that we got. Hey, you guys, please make sure before we close up here that you click on my QR code, get my info, get my contact, save it on your phone. If you have any questions, you want to connect directly, that's going to be the best way to doing it. If you want to follow me, please do so. Subscribe, like my channel, provide some feedback. That's kind of how I'm able to promote this site and get it out there to a lot more people. It's all about having the algorithm. So I need your assistance, and please make sure you do that. You can always follow me on Instagram or YouTube at the Closing Room AZ. It's a quick way to find me, or on my QR code. It takes you right to those channels anyways. So it's there. Ben, best way to reach out to you.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you, Jesse, for allowing me to come here and just kind of share some of my knowledge. Sincerely appreciate that. Thank you, Driggs Title, as well, for having me here as well. But best way to contact me is phone number 602-695-5187. You can get in contact with me via phone, via text. You can take a look at my social media as well, Living Ben's Life on Instagram. I do have Instagram, Living Ben's Life. Barrett Financial Group definitely has a website you can kind of search me up on as well. Email bens@barrettfinancialgroup.com as well. So whatever way you would like to get in contact with me, I'm readily available to help and answer any questions you got.
Awesome. And I'll have that information, you guys, for you on my podcast. So in case you missed it anyhow, you could always grab it. It'll be on the description of the podcast. So make sure you guys open it up. You'll find all of Ben's information, best way to get a hold of him. All right. Well, this is the Closing Room AZ, where real conversations drive real results. Thanks for being here today. Truly appreciate you guys. Have a blessed week. And remember, you guys, set no limits.